General Hospital spoilers for Monday, June 23rd, state that Brooke Lynn Quartermaine will chat to Tracy Quartermaine about swallowing her pride and seizing a chance. This could be about the press conference and the statement Tracy agreed to read, but it's evident she has some tricks up her sleeve. Now that Tracy is plotting with Curtis Ashford, this news conference could lead to Drew Kane's demise instead. Next, Kai Taylor will surprise Trina Robinson by saying he accepted Drew's paid internship offer. Kai had earlier told Trina that he was going to pass it up, so she will wonder what changed. Of course, Kai will laud Drew's praises once more and mention how he will only have to be in DC couple times per year. Drew persuaded Kai that he wouldn't have to relocate and that this may be a fantastic opportunity for him, so Kai is on board. According to GH spoilers, Trina will be upset by the news, which will exacerbate her anxieties about Drew bringing Kai closer. Speaking of being drawn closer, Jordan Ashford will be drawn to her ex-husband again on Monday's episode. Jordan will grin as she tells Curtis about the best feeling ever, and they will share a pleasant moment while reminiscing. Martin Gray will deliver some vital updates to Drew in his office. Martin may remind out that Tracy agreed to the press appearance, leaving Drew happy. Drew will brag about how this is the second best thing that has occurred to him today. The first one was clearly Willow Tate accepting his marriage proposal. Willow has recently startled Nina Reeves by saying she intends to marry Drew before the visitation court, but Nina will try to change her mind on Monday's program. Nina will persuade Willow that the wait will be worthwhile, but Willow may decide to trust Drew when it comes to pressing forward with their hasty nuptials. Carly Spencer will have an important question for Michael Corinthos. Carly will want to know if Michael is willing to keep Willow out of his children's lives permanently. Michael hopes that he will ultimately feel comfortable having Wiley and Amelia Corinthos be around Willow. Carly, on the other hand, will be concerned that the day will never arrive and question if Michael is strong enough to completely cut off Willow's role in the children's lives. According to General Hospital spoilers, Michael will continue to navigate the situation as best he can for the time being, so stay tuned. Nina Reeves had never felt more uncertain about her place in the Corinthos family than she did now. The air around her felt thinner, the glances colder, and even the silences were heavier. Her relationship with Willow had become increasingly unstable as her secrets began to unravel, especially after Michael uncovered the extent of her machinations. Willow, who had previously gingerly opened the door to a relationship with Nina, had now slammed it practically shut, and the widening schism between them threatened to disrupt what should have been a pleasant occasion, Willow's approaching wedding ceremony with Michael. The wedding was intended to be a small, lovely occasion. After their quick courthouse wedding during Willow's health crisis, they had always promised to do it correctly when things settled down. Willow was finally recovering, Wiley and Amelia were prospering, and the prospect of a new beginning felt real. Michael had begun to complete the guest list, Brooke Lynn was involved in some of the planning, and Sonny, despite his latest disagreement with his son, had stated that he intended to be there to support them. But Nina had heard whispers, quiet at first, then increasingly pointed. She wasn't sure if she'd even been invited, and the uncertainty wounded worse than she wanted to admit. She had battled so hard for a second chance and atonement in the eyes of her daughter. However, every move she made appeared to widen rather than close the gap. And now she was confronted with a choice. Watch Willow marry Michael and pretend their relationship wasn't in tatters, or postpone the ceremony until she could figure out how to heal it. The decision to postpone the wedding was not motivated solely by animosity. Nina believed herself it was all about timing. Willow continued to have medical examinations to monitor her condition after the transplant. The stress of a formal wedding, mixed with the tension among diverse family members, could be overwhelming. However, Nina was aware that she was attempting to maintain control. She did not want to be the mother who stood on the sidelines. She wanted to be a part of the ceremony, not just as an attendee, but as the mother of the bride, no matter how difficult and twisted that title had become. So she addressed her worries directly to Sonny. If anyone could help her negotiate between Michael and Willow, it was Sonny. He still had a soft spot for Nina, despite how chaotic things had become lately. They gathered in his apartment for a secret meeting that Nina had organized via a mysterious SMS about important family stuff. Sonny was cautious but consented. Nina did not waste any time sitting across from him. "I think Willow and Michael are rushing the wedding," she added cautiously. I know they've been through a lot, but I think it might be healthier for everyone to slow things down a bit. Sonny lifted his eyebrow. Do you think this is about health? Nina paused. Partly. I believe Willow requires more time. Her body is still recovering. And emotionally, we haven't settled anything. Sonny reclined back in his chair and folded his arms. So, is this about you and Willow? Nina bristled. It's about the overall family dynamic. You have witnessed the strain. You and Michael barely speak. Carly will not even look at me. It's a mess. Sonny's eyes narrowed. I don't think postponing their wedding will heal everything. And I doubt Michael will go for it. Nina tried not to betray her annoyance. I'm only asking for a conversation. If we could all actually converse, we might be able to get together for the wedding. Not simply sitting in our little corners and pretending everything is all right. Sonny did not respond right away. He stared at her for a long time, trying to decide whether this was genuine concern or intentional manipulation. Perhaps it was both. That was Nina's problem. Her intentions always seemed to fall somewhere between love and control. I'll talk with Michael, he finally answered, his tone unreadable. But I'm not promising anything. Meanwhile, Carly had her own problems, which had little to do with Nina's presence or absence. She had been keeping a closer eye on Michael ever since Drew was sent away and Jason's homecoming had shattered the foundations of all of her important relationships. Her kid had always been strong, but he now bore a different type of weight, one she thought he was not sharing. Carly noticed how he stiffened up when Jason's name was spoken. She noticed hesitancy in his eyes whenever Willow mentioned Sonny. Something wasn't right, and Carly had learned long ago not to disregard her intuition. She spotted Michael in the kitchen of the Quartermain home one morning, going over caterer options for the wedding. Brooke Lynn had left a stack of brochures, which Michael was flicking through with half-hearted attention. Carly waited until the coffee maker was done brewing before speaking. You seem distracted. Michael looked up. I'm just exhausted. The kids were awake last night. Carly nodded slowly. I've been thinking about the wedding. He made a gentle laugh. You and everyone else. I mean it, she murmured, moving closer. Are you certain this is what you want right now? Michael blinked. Of course. Why would you ask that? She observed him. Because you haven't grinned like this in weeks. Because whenever Sonny's name comes up, you shift the conversation. Because Jason is back, and you have yet to sit down with him. Michael stiffened. There's a lot going on. I know, Carly replied. That is why I am asking. You have always had a plan, Michael. You always knew where you were heading. But recently you've been different. Closed off. And I believe it has something to do with your father, and possibly something you're not telling Willow. Michael turned aside and braced himself against the kitchen counter. You don't need to worry about me. I'm handling it. Are you? Carly moved closer. Because I have seen that look before. That weight. You are carrying something, Michael. And if it's about Sonny, Nina, or Jason, whatever it is, you have to get it out. He did not respond right away. The silence between them was like a wire about to snap. Eventually he exhaled. I don't trust them. Who? Any of them, he acknowledged. Jason, Sonny, Nina, they've all misled or chosen other people over this family at some point. I'm trying to be civil. For Willow, for the children. But I don't know how to proceed with any of them. Carly's heart twisted. She despised seeing him like way, so confused and drained from treachery. You don't have to move forward with anybody. But don't bear it alone. You've got me. You have Willow. Allow us to help. Michael nodded slowly, but his gaze remained distant. Later that day, he saw Willow at the hospital. She had just returned from a follow-up checkup and was overjoyed with the positive news. Her statistics were steady and her strength was improving. The doctor had even cleared her to begin light physical activity. She beamed as she informed Michael, and he tried to match her enthusiasm. I was thinking, Willow explained, sliding her fingers into his. Perhaps we might move the wedding up. Only by a few days. I want to accomplish it while I'm still feeling powerful. Before anything else goes wrong. Michael hesitated. Actually, there's been talk about maybe pushing it back. Willow's smile vanished. What do you mean? He examined her closely. Nina believes it may be wiser to wait. She claimed the stress in the family is too high right now, and it could ruin the day. Willow's expression clouded. So now she's attempting to postpone our wedding? Michael sighed. She claims it is about your health. But I believe it's more than that. It's always more than that with her, Willow remarked gently. She turned aside, suddenly chilled. You see, I tried. I truly tried with her. I gave her a chance, welcomed her into our lives, and even allowed her to hold our children. But she keeps pressing. And now she wishes to postpone our wedding? No. Certainly not. Michael contacted out. Hey, we do not have to do anything, she says. This is our day. Ours. But I don't want the tension hanging over it. Maybe we should take a day to discuss things out with everyone and then go on. Willow shakes her head. I do not want to negotiate my wedding with people who repeatedly violate my trust. Nina made her decisions. So did Sunny. This day is for us, not them. Back at Metro Court, Nina paced her suite, waiting for a call from Sunny that never came. She kept looking at her phone, hoping for a text, a message, anything to let her know she hadn't made matters worse. But the silence was smothering. When she eventually contacted Sunny, he did not answer. That was an adequate response. Later that night, Carly paid Jason a visit at the safe home. She sought clarity, not for Michael but for herself. She has been disturbed since his return. Things were different now. Drew was gone. Sunny had torched bridge after bridge. Jason was Jason. Familiar and unfamiliar all at once. I don't think Michael's okay, she informed him. Jason sat forward. What happened? He is hiding something. I'm carrying something big. And I believe it's about you. About Sunny. He won't say it aloud, but he is drowning. Jason frowned. Maybe I should talk to him. Carly nodded. Maybe. But be gentle. He's not the same youngster you used to protect. He's a man now, a father. And he's seen a lot more darkness than he admits. Jason stood, the weight of Carly's words settling into his chest. Then I'll find a way to reach him. By the following morning, the tension had reached a breaking point. Michael received a text from Sunny asking for a meeting with just the two of them. He agreed just to clarify the air once and for all. When they gathered at the coffee warehouse, the conversation became tense. Sunny spoke first. Nina told me she asked you to delay the wedding. Michael did not hide his disdain. So, did you agree with her? No, Sunny replied. But I think you need to know she's not the only one worried. Michael folded his arms. What are you worried about? That I will not involve her in the cake cutting? Sunny sighed. This family is breaking apart. I'm trying to keep it together. Michael shakes his head. You are attempting to hang on to a fantasy. You made your decisions, Dad. You choose Nina. You chose silence. And now you intend to simply show up at the wedding and like nothing has happened? I didn't say that, Sunny said. I just don't want this wedding to become another battlefield. Then stay out of it, Michael stated bluntly. We will send you the time and location. Whether or if you show up is entirely up to you. With that he walked away. The wedding would go ahead. But is there harmony within the Corinthos family? That was another story entirely. General Hospital spoilers and speculation suggest Christina Corinthos Davis issues a warning to Michael Corinthos after overhearing a conversation. Drew Kane wants to eliminate any potential competition for Willow Tate and reclaim her children. So he launches a hit on Michael. Drew is in the wrong place and at the wrong time to have this conversation. Drew is in the wrong place at the wrong time for this talk, but Christina happens to be in the right place at the right time to overhear it. Christina has picked up Scout Kane and is caring for her while Willow recovers from her trauma, and she hears Drew on the phone outside. Christina Corinthos Davis was not one to become engaged in matters that did not immediately affect her. She had learned the hard way over the years that meddling in other people's affairs, particularly in Port Charles, usually resulted in negative outcomes. She had already burned bridges, been misunderstood, and found herself at the heart of family conflict unrelated to her. But lately something was nagging at her, refusing to go away no matter how hard she tried to ignore it. It began one evening at the Savoy. Christina had been by to deliver flyers for a youth outreach fundraiser that she and her organization were arranging. The club was pretty quiet, with only a few people enjoying drinks at the bar. Curtis was not present, and the crew was preoccupied with preparing for the night's live music event. Christina didn't plan to stay long, but as she walked past a closed door in the back of the building, which is frequently used for private meetings or storage, she heard voices. One of them was clearly Drew Kane's. The other, however, was lower and more deliberate, causing her tummy to twist. She initially tried to ignore it, assuming it was just business banter. However, a specific sentence caused her to pause. If it looks like an accident, no one will ever know the difference. Christina's grip tightened on the stack of flyers. She was not the kind to eavesdrop, but something about the tone of the talk drew her in. She couldn't hear everything, but she got enough. Drew talking about Michael, something about leverage, and the other man replied coldly, "If he doesn't play ball, he'll be out. One way or another." She stepped away softly, her heart racing. It was one thing to know her family could be ruthless. She had grown up with Sonny Corinthos after all, but hearing Drew of all people involved in what sounded like a murder threat shocked her. Drew was supposed to be a good person. The person having the moral compass. The man who had emerged from a secretive past to become a protector, particularly of people he cared about. So what was he up to, planning to bring Michael down? Christina departed the Savoy without saying goodbye to anyone. She wandered for several blocks, attempting to make sense of what she had heard. Perhaps she misunderstood. Perhaps it was not what it sounded like. Perhaps it was a bluff, merely chatter, to intimidate someone into doing what they want. But the trouble was that she recognized the voice of someone who wasn't lying. The other man, whoever he was very serious. Christina kept returning to the same question. Why? What had Michael done to deserve Drew's wrath? They had been close for years, like brothers. Drew had always tried to be the voice of reason, even when things were difficult in the family business. But something had changed recently. Michael had distanced himself from his family, focused on ELQ rather than Sonny. Willow was agitated and distracted, and Carly and Drew's relationship had become significantly strained. By the time Christina arrived home, she had realized she couldn't keep this to herself. She needed to warn Michael. Whatever was going on, he deserved to know that someone close to him may be plotting his demise, or worse. She waited in her apartment for more than an hour, staring at her phone and pondering how to begin the discussion. Eventually, she just texted, "Need to talk. Urgent. In person." Michael replied instantly. He was at the Quartermain mansion and invited her to stop by. When she arrived, he met her at the door, surprised by how nervous she appeared. "Is everything all right?" Christina walked inside, looking over her shoulder as if she expected to be followed. "No, not really. I believe you're in danger." Michael's expression altered suddenly, from casual worry to something more serious. "What are you talking about?" She sat across from him in the living room, taking a deep breath. "I overheard something in the Savoy. I wasn't attempting to snoop, but I did hear Drew. He was with somebody else. I did not catch the name, but they were speaking about you. About removing you." Michael leaned forward, his brow wrinkled. "Removing me?" Christina nodded slowly. "As in permanently. I believe Drew intends to kill you." The hush in the room was heavy. Michael didn't say anything for some seconds, and Christina was frightened she had gone too far. Perhaps she shouldn't have spoken so clearly. But what she had heard left little space for sugarcoating. Michael eventually spoke, and his tone was low and measured. "Are you sure it was Drew?" "Yes. I recognize his voice. I didn't hear everything, but it was clearly him. The language they used was more than just threatening. It seems like they were already plotting something." Michael ran a hand through his hair, his thoughts racing. Part of him wished to disregard it. Perhaps Drew was only venting to someone, letting off steam. But Christina would not have approached him unless she was certain of what she had heard. She wasn't looking for drama. Christina went out of her way to avoid this type of argument. She was visibly shaken, which added weight to her statements. "Have you told anyone else?" Michael inquired. "No. Just you." He rose up and paced. The last 6 months had been stressful between him and Drew, especially when Drew began making subtle moves at ELQ that opposed some of Michael's objectives. Michael assumed it was business as usual, corporate disagreements, shifting alliances. But then Drew started probing into his private affairs, asking things he had no business asking, and even hinting at a more powerful role at the corporation. Michael brushed it off. What about now? Now it felt like a menace he should have anticipated. Christina watched him, her uneasiness increasing. I know that seems weird, Michael, but I believe Drew has a problem. He is not the same. Michael stopped pacing. You aren't wrong. He's been different. Colder. Less willing to compromise. Do you think he could actually go through with something like this? She asked. I do not know. But if what you've heard is true, I can't ignore it. They both sat silently, the weight of the situation weighing on them. Michael understood he needed to be cautious. If Drew was genuinely planning something so drastic, confronting him immediately could make matters worse. He wanted evidence, leverage, something that would force Drew to back down or expose him before he could act. Don't tell anyone else about this, Michael eventually added. Not yet. If Drew is watching me, he will also be watching you. Just act normal. Christina nodded unwillingly. Okay. But please take care. I will. After she left, Michael went to work. He called Spinelli. If anyone could find out more about Drew's recent actions or figure out who he was meeting with at the Savoy, it was him. Within hours, Spinelli had accessed some encrypted communication records from Drew's business phone. No substantial evidence, but there were coded messages to an unnamed number and multiple erased call logs from the previous week. Michael's senses told him Drew was trying to isolate him, maybe to take over ELQ or for something bigger. But a death plot? It was difficult to believe. However, at Port Charles, nothing was off the table anymore. He began retracing Drew's movements, reviewing financial documents and looking for anything out of the norm. Then he found it. Drew recently authorized a wire transfer to a private account in the Cayman Islands. The receiver was a shell firm known for delivering cleaners. Not janitors, but people who could solve problems. Permanently. Michael's blood became chilly. It was real. The following step has to be calculated. He couldn't go to the police since it was too risky, especially given Drew's links around town. Instead, he needed to corner Drew on his own soil with assistance. He reached out to Dex, who had been on the sidelines since Sonny's business began to crumble under federal inquiry. Michael trusted Dex with his life, knowing he'd follow through if things went wrong. They began preparing a trap that would force Drew to disclose himself. Meanwhile, Drew had no idea Christina had overheard something. He proceeded to hold meetings, creating the story that Michael was out of control, that the corporation required new leadership, and that Sonny's influence had corrupted the next generation. He spoke in boardrooms, laughing as he depicted Michael as unstable and reckless, and received muted support from other stockholders who had grown scared of the Corinthos name. However, he was hiding something darker. Drew had altered since his capture. Whatever he went through overseas left a deeper wound on him than anyone could have imagined. There were gaps in his recollection, hours and days that he couldn't account for. He sometimes awoke in areas where he didn't recall falling asleep. Rage came easier now. It was more difficult to feel compassion. The old Drew, the devoted soldier and family man, was being buried by something more cruel. That night, Michael invited Drew to a reconciliation dinner at the Courtemain boathouse, claiming he wished to put their disagreements behind them. Drew hesitated but agreed. Christina, uninformed of the entire plot, waited anxiously, hoping she hadn't made a mistake. Drew arrived to find a modest setup, one table, 2 seats, minimal illumination, and a single drink waiting. Michael greeted him quietly, concealing the storm below the surface. They talked. Initially, only niceties were exchanged. Then Michael leaned in. I understand what you've been doing. And I know who you've been meeting with. Drew's face remained unchanged. Do you? I understand about the wire transfer, the shell account, the conversation you had at the Savoy. I know about the cleaner. A long silence fell between them. Drew finally responded. You shouldn't have dug into that. Michael stood slowly. You tried to kill me, Drew. We've passed the point of no return. Drew suddenly moved, but Dex appeared behind him, his weapon drawn. Drew froze. It's over, Michael stated. I've got enough to bury you. Unless you disappear. Drew's eyes narrowed. Do you think this is over? Michael didn't respond. He walked away, leaving Dex to handle the rest. That night, Christina received a message. You saved my life. Thank you. She stared at her phone, heart pounding, realizing that one overheard conversation had just changed the fate of her family forever. She hears Michael's name and tells Scout to wait in her car while she sneaks closer for a better listen, because Drew is riled and doesn't realize how loud he's getting. She pulls out her phone and records what she sees and hears, and Drew gets louder as he tells someone, "Make sure Michael Corinthos is dead." Drew even repeats himself, and wants it to look like a result of mob violence, like Sonny Corinthos was the intended victim. Christina's mind works overtime. Did he have the bomb planted too? Christina usually leaves the detective work to Dante Falconeri, who'll hear about this too, but first she has to get to Michael and play it for him. Her mind's working overtime from that last phrase she heard. Like Sonny Corinthos was the intended victim. Is that what happened when his penthouse got bombed? Is that how Michael got almost killed and burned so badly? Could Drew have been behind that too, sending out a hitman? But first, she takes Scout over to Grandma Alexis Davis's house where she'll be safe. She doesn't think Drew is even safe around his own child, let alone around Michael's. That was the whole point of Michael getting sole custody, at least until Willow wakes up to think Willow helped Christina get out of that cult, and now she's even more deceived. Michael is neither surprised nor is he shocked. Michael is neither surprised nor is he shocked, as he knows Drew is dangerous and Willow is deceived, and terribly so. He agrees Dante needs to be brought in on this plot, as well as Jason Morgan and Sonny, and thinks Christina's suspicion is a good theory. No one is sure how much Drew knows about explosives, and besides, they do know that the bomb in Sonny's penthouse wasn't available on the general market. But would Drew have sent a hitman after Michael in Sonny's apartment if he knew he was going to be there? Absolutely, and Michael's going to have special protection this time, and eyes will be on dastardly Drew all the time. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, June 20th, 2025. Fans should expect Trina Robinson to make a startling revelation. Meanwhile, Willow Tate Corinthos has a major announcement to make. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap drama. Emma Scorpio and Drake's encounter. Let's start with Emma Scorpio Drake. The promo footage for today's episode shows Emma cradling a puppy while Giovanni Gio Palmieri stands next to her. The young activist reassures the dog, "It'll be fine." Fans are aware that Emma is an animal lover and a dedicated activist. It is also hinted that this will be an unforgettable adventure for Gio. I wonder whether Gio will start to feel something for Emma. Perhaps a little romance can help him overcome his anger about his adoption. Willow Tate Corinthos' important announcement. Willow is heartbroken over losing custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Read more. Find out what happened on the last episode of GH. In addition, the judge granted Michael authority over Willow visits, including whether or not she sees the children at all. Fans had already watched Michael open up to Jason Morgan regarding Amelia's request for her mother. It was a terrible moment that made Michael ponder whether he had made the correct decision. However, Jason is correct that Willow is not stable right now. So what exactly is Willow announcing? Will she reveal that she has married Drew Kane? Drew and Willow can also be seen sitting on the couch in the preview footage. Drew looks up at an unknown figure and inquires whether Tracy Quartermain is willing to play ball. That sounds like Willow's custody attorney Rick Lansing. Tracy approaches someone with a wicked leer. Kai Taylor's bombshell. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Trina Robinson receives troubling information. As they lie in bed together, Kai Taylor learns of Drew's generous paid internship offer. Kai is once again overjoyed, but Trina will have a horrible feeling. Read this. General Hospital spoilers. Sidwell's deadly scheme targets Natalia, incriminates Sonny? Friday, June 20th, 2025. Ava Jerome is expected to back Nina Reeves in tomorrow's episode as well. Christina Corinthos Davis sends a vague warning to Michael Corinthos. Also, Anna Devane informs Sonny Corinthos that it is reckoning day, and there is nothing he can do about it. Willow Corinthos sat calmly at the Quartermain mansion's window, her hands wrapped around a hot cup of tea that she had not touched. Outside, the sun was just rising, casting pink and gold streaks across the sky. The day seemed too quiet for the tempest developing within her. She had been awake all night, repeating her talk with Michael in her head, analyzing every word, pause, and underlying request concealed behind his precisely calculated statements. He wanted to move forward, to maintain their marriage strong, their family together, and their love based on the foundation they had established through difficulties and miracles. But something inside Willow had changed.